by Andrew Fraser, remaking a Filipino icon, the world band, and try to erase, which is a switchblade, right? I had no idea it was from the Philippines, originally. I don't know why they're banned over a regular knife. They're pretty cool. Let's learn about it.
Today, guys, we are making the world's most banned knife, the butterfly knife, aka
butterfly knife. Well, I guess I'm stupid. Switchblade is the one like you press a switch and it comes out, okay. Butterfly knife.
It is banned, feared, and completely misunderstood.
Knives are the criminal's most common ally, increasingly used on London's streets for both robbery and violence.
But the
for
Bali
London,
song
I get
has
it.
roots in Filipino culture that deserve to be celebrated.
But a lot of people don't know that it's from the Philippines.
Stylish.
Even a lot of Filipinos outside of the Philippines don't even know that it's from the Philippines.
Today, we head back to the birthplace of this iconic blade. Craft one with artisans whose families have been doing it for generations. We're going to find out why it's even banned, and then we're going to see what makes it so iconic.
I'm genuinely thinking, yeah, I don't get it. I mean, what's the difference between regular knife and this one? I mean, technically, I don't know if you're allowed to carry a regular knife in public. Probably depends on the country, right? Like if I'm walking in my pocket with a giant kitchen knife, I'm gonna be kind of sus, but... This actor...
Oh, that's great! All right, guys. Today we're here with Ron, and we are putting you on the spot.
Ron Carino, a Filipino-American with just a real passion for the Bali song.
Man, this is
He's
so
the
crazy to
founder
look
of
at.
KNB Bali Song, a non-profit that is dedicated to keeping this culture and the craftsmanship of this Filipino pocket knife alive. He's brought me to the birthplace of the Bali Song, where generations have kept this tradition going.
And we are here with...
We're here with Kuya Vic Bautista, who's one of the famous Bautista brothers, some of the most well-known balisong makers here in town.
He learned how to craft from his father when he was little more than a child, and he's still making these today.
All right, so we're coming up on Kuya Vic's workshop. It is sort of like a small knifesmith, bladesmith shop here in the sort of, I don't know what you'd call this, a little courtyard. We've got a big belt, some drills. I see a bunch of Bali song laid out. Let him get to work and we'll break down the steps.
We're making this Bali Song with traditional materials, brass housing, and handles finished with bone, horn, or wood.
And then for the blade, they'll usually make it with molia, which is oftentimes recycled spring leaves from jeepneys. So they make it from bearing as well. So spring leaves and bearing as well.
I think it's like the go-to material for Filipino knives. When I came here previously shooting bolos, it was also made almost entirely from leaf spring. So, yeah.
These are the key materials to a heavy, solid build knife, with a totally different flow and feel to the light aluminum and plastic knockoffs that come out of China.
Well, you can say the same about all the knockoff.
We start out with the housing. 2 sheets of brass are hammered into shape using a template to get that exact width and dimensions.
So it usually takes them 1 to 2 days to finish a whole balisong. It's completely by hand, and that's what the difference is between a handmade balisong versus a machine-made balisong. They're literally pouring their heart, their sweat, their blood sometimes into every single balisong that they make.
Makes sense, yeah.
In the corner of the
stuff is always
workshop, there's
cooler.
this massive belt-driven grinder, a Frankenstein of old-school ingenuity. It's powered by this aging electric motor and weighed down with a cage of stones. This beast is going to be doing all the heavy lifting today.
I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear any of this, but we have sort of like a small bucket of water. It's frequently just dunking the brass in the water and then grinding away, helps smooth it out. This thing is loud, big, and seems kind of dangerous. Just a giant belt running across the workshop.
I mean, it's definitely like a very, what's the word for it? Ghetto setup or something. I mean, it's not like professional machinery, right? Like not only the switchblade, but all of the machinery is using seems like it's made by hand. You know, which is pretty
Steel
cool.
housings are smoothed and leveled until they are identical in size. The edges are finished by hand before moving on to the measurements.
Oh, Otatewi. Hello. Hello, hello.
Using
Oh, you're the one who
homemade
did the request.
knife.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It said anonymous, so I had no idea what it was, yeah. I got it. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to watch it on this stream or in a video, so I had kept it for a video, but I think I got it, yeah, the reverse video. Thank you for the stream element tip. Thank you.
Engage. We quickly lay out
I will
the
check it
slots
out.
for the rivets and the brass lock that will hold everything together.
So what is this one? I absolutely love this little measuring stick. You're sort of using it to like quickly measure an exact distance within the brass, just kind of scratches this distance. Yeah, as you can see, there's just like a handmade nail hanging off a piece of wood that he can wedge in at a specific distance.
Once the marks are made, the materials are then hand sawn, filed down to a perfect fit.
I love the precision of the movement, you know.
So what Kujovic is doing right now is the engraving on the lock, which is the bottom part of the balisong, and it says K and B for Kultura ng Balisong.
The handle materials of wood and horn are punched through and joined to the enclosure with brass rivets, hammered snugly in place.
That's cool.
Man, it looks absolutely beautiful, guys. A whole bunch of different materials going into this one handle. He's kind of drilling in pins for each and every one of them so that they're able to hold it in place.
Finally, we add brass to both ends to cap off the handle design and add weight at the right places. Despite looking rough and squared off at this point, the handle is basically good to go. Now,
Okay.
it's back to the grinder. First, the ends are leveled, and then the entire handle is worked down into one smooth, continuous shape.
Starting to round off now, both the brass and
It's
the
amazing
wood have
how
sort of been molded into one smooth
Detailed
handle.
it is.
And now we're beginning work
Like the
with
process of
grinding
making
down
it.
the steel.
With the handle complete, it is blade time. But how did this design come about anyway? And what makes the balisong so controversial and maligned?
I think it was
Right.
one of our first, if not the first, pocket knife that we had.
The balisong name is believed to have come from the Tagalog word bali, to break, and sungay, or horn. So together, broken horn, due to the
Okay.
frequent use of horn in handles. Others trace it back to the barangay of Balisong here in Batangas, where we are making the blades today. But I'm not really sure what came first. The design itself emerged in the 1800s. Many suggest that Filipinos drew inspiration from the French pied de roy, a folding measuring tool once used by sailors.
And then Filipinos took it and revolutionized it and made it to where it's flippable with one hand. Because prior to that, it wasn't flippable by one hand. And so
But why the flipping? That's the question. Like, why do you need a knife to flip? It looks cool, but was there like a more logical reason for it?
the very definition of a balisong is that you can flip it with one hand.
Yeah, that is so cool.
The craftsmen here in Balisong, though, tell me that the original use of the knife was as a simple farm tool.
If you're a farmer out in the farm and you're holding produce or a bushel of something or a sack of rice or whatever, and you needed to open, you needed a knife, and to be able to open a knife with one hand, balisong was perfect for that.
I get it. So yeah, when you keep it in your pocket, it's technically like armless because it's inside like the handle, but then you can just pull it out and quickly, you know, like basically put it into blade mode. I get it.
Efficiency helped the blade gain huge popularity here in the Philippines well before it became known for the flashy flipping tricks.
You did some
Fast forward to
blacksmithing?
the 1900s,
That's
and
cool.
the balisong was deeply ingrained in Filipino culture. It was used in everything from day-to-day cutting tasks to local martial arts. But it really picked up wider appeal after World War II and the US occupation of the Philippines. American soldiers stationed there took one look at these funky-looking knives and thought, now that is something different. And they brought that balisong tucked away in their duffel bags and footlockers all the way back to the States.
From what
Makes
I hear,
sense.
they had a hard time pronouncing the name balisong, and because the balisong looks like a butterfly, when you're flipping it open, it's like fluttering like a butterfly, the handles, they coined the term butterfly knife.
This
I feel like there's always something like this where like is balisong really that hard to say? Like sometimes a name is completely changed, and some people say it's because like the original was too hard to say, but balisong is not that hard to say.
International curiosity only boosted the thriving knife-making hubs in Balisong and Tal, where the entire neighborhood was now being devoted to manufacturing this specific blade design. The design was featured in martial art demos and pop culture movies, cementing itself on the global stage. But not all of this attention was positive.
It was always held by the bad guy in the movie, right? It was always used for criminal activity, and it just developed a bad reputation.
Oh yeah, I forgot in the masterpiece movie Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. That's right. There's a whole part where like he's using one of his knife and he's telling his like daughter, you know, use it if a guy is being weird. That's right.
Hollywood's go-to symbol of this dude means business. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Cities in the 80s were dealing with real-world crime problems the world over. Butterfly knives got lumped in with switchblades and brass knuckles as symbols of street and gang violence. And before long, the hammers started coming down. The UK banned them outright in 1988. Other countries followed suit.
Okay, so like
Coming down. The UK banned them outright in 1988. Other
Well, I guess in France we can have it. Restricted legal age, need of permit, and certain size. But I'm surprised with the US because again, like, I mean, guns, right? Like, you're gonna ban knives but not guns? Like, in the same way you can argue that knives in movie are used as like the bad guy's tool, isn't it the same with guns? I don't know. I know it's more complicated than that, but I'm just saying, it sounds kind of stupid. The UK, it makes sense, even though I don't think, like, was the UK knife problem, like, is it more of a recent thing, or was it already a thing back in the 80s? Yeah. Fair enough. It's actually not banned in, like, as many countries as I would have thought, yeah. Yeah.
countries followed suit. Even in the US, state after state started cracking down.
You guys don't even ban guns, so it's kind of stupid, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Today, the Balisong is among the most banned knives on Earth. It is restricted or outright banned across the globe.
So, yeah, it's just stupid. That's the moral of the story. Because again, like, I'm sure it's a knife, it's dangerous, but... So I can't carry this knife, but if I have, like a jam kitchen knife that I have carefully, like, you know, made sure it's, like, gonna stab you, that's fine. That's not banned.
What we're hoping to do in the future is to be able to make it partially legal. In the Philippines, it's legal to be able to have a gun and carry a gun, but you have to have a permit.
Yeah.
So we want to eventually do the same thing with the Balisong as well.
Time to finish up the blade. We're going to be making this blade with stock removal. A large piece of leaf spring that's already been hammered flat needs to be cut way down to size. This thing's far too thick for a blade.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one sharp knife by the time we get through this thing.
The blade design we're crafting today is inspired by those wavy crisp daggers that are rooted in tribal Filipino and Indonesian traditions.
That
The
is
piece
pretty
of
cool.
leaf spring has already been cut and hammered flat, but there's still a lot of material to remove. Holes are drilled so that the blade can be mounted, and this time steel rivets, not brass, are hammered into place to hold it secure. We also drill in a hole for the center pin that's going to keep everything aligned when open.
So as you can see, this thing has started to really come together. That is very much looking like a Balisong. We've got the lock in place.
It looks
The
like a
blade
shaving
has kind of been
razor.
in place, but it is still very clunky at this point. It's kind of just like a large piece of steel. Maybe you could whack someone over the head with this, but otherwise it ain't going to do any damage. And we've got the pins hanging out, but things are really coming together. I'd say this is about 50% complete. We just got the finishing to go.
Kuyavik's brother Poyang steps in to help finish the blade. We start out cutting the blade to shape with an angle grinder, then establishing the edge with the grinder,
I love how
and
casually it
carefully
is the way they're
and
making it.
slowly, we begin to grind in that wavy pattern.
We're going to really start to see that crisp blade shape coming out now, guys. It isn't done entirely by hand, it seems. No measuring, no nothing. Just that straight curve blade from hours of stock removal.
I was gonna say, like, I wonder if part of why it's banned is, like, the shape too. Like, does it do more damage because of the way it's, like, often shaped the blade compared to a normal blade. Maybe that would be one of the points. I don't know if that's the case, but
That wavy, crisp blade, the sort of Filipino style, the lock at the back, looks to me just like we've got a couple of pins to finish up and we should be good. That is one hell of a blade.
Before finishing the blade off though, it must be hardened. To do this, a small forge in the corner of the workshop is powered on using a small pond water pump.
it's just
The
a
blade
barbecue
is
at this
removed
point.
from the handle and it is placed in the forge until it gets just absolutely glowing hot.
Right now, we're getting that thing absolutely scorching hot.
The blade is then quenched in the finest Filipino quenching oil, straight from a jeepney's last oil change. Now the perfect level of hardness, the blade can be finished. Any rough edges are removed, the final center pin is put in place, and we hammer in those handle rivets one last time and put on the final edge. And there we have it, a handmade Filipino barley song from the birthplace of the blade. It
Looks
is a
awesome.
beautiful mix of steel, brass, horn, and wood.
So this is the balisong that Kuya Vic and Kuya Poyeng, the Bautista brothers, just finished making. It's a 29 centimeter balisong, also known as a 29, with a crisp blade, which is very Filipino, iconic type of blade for both balisong and other types of weaponry. It's a really beautiful balisong that they just made in literally half a day. From our
Half a
group, we
day.
wanted to present this and give this as a gift to Andrew and his
But he said before, it takes 2 days to make one. So half a day they did it.
production team.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Thank you very much, man. This is absolutely beautiful, honestly. Really cool. I love it. Now I gotta just learn how to not kill myself with this thing, you know? Quivik, thank you for showing us around today, man. Really awesome blade. I want to ask, man, how long have you been doing this?
I think maybe 30 years
30 years? Man, and how did you get into this?
na nagagawa sila. So, araw-araw kong nakikita,
Is
kaya
that-
natututo na rin po.
He learned from his family, his dad primarily.
Because you have 3 brothers,
Yes, sir.
and they're all into barley song making.
Yes, sir.
What do you think it was about your father that he trained all you guys to get into this space, right?
Kaysa naman po ako maglalaro lang na maglalaro din. Ano, ako bata pa.
Yeah, so his dad started when he was just 15 years old. When his dad was 15 years old, learning how to make the balisongs. When he had children and they were starting to grow up, Kuya Vic was saying that instead of them just running around playing, that they were taught how to make balisongs, and then eventually it became a way for them to also contribute to the family, and eventually being able to provide for their own family when they got married and had kids.
Were there more barley song makers in the past or less?
Lahat po dito ng mga tao, o
Definitely more,
karamihan
yeah.
po, hindi naman
So he was saying that there was a lot more balisong makers here in Taal before when he first started 30 years ago. And unfortunately, because materials started to become expensive, a lot of the balisong makers either moved abroad or they looked for other kinds of work. There was a decrease in the demand.
Kaya sobrang dami po talaga nung kailan.
He said he remembers in the 90s where it was really, really popular. He said a lot of people were making balisongs. Even the little kids, he said, knew how to at least make the housing or the inlays of the balisong.
So it really was kind of like this town, it was one of the main industries here.
Ito po itong isa po sa kilala ng bayan ng Taal. Ito pong
So this town is known throughout the Philippines as the place for balisong. This is the birth of the Batangas-made, Filipino handmade balisong.
ang balisong po talaga ay hindi na po.
He was just saying is that his current concern is that in the next 20 years that the balisong will be out of our culture. One of the things that we're working on together is to
Like so
develop
many
an
things.
apprenticeship program to be able to get young adults interested into learning the balisong, because it's important that they take an interest in it for us to be able to keep this part of our culture alive.
Yeah. All right, well, that's cool. I hope that apprenticeship program goes well and that there is a future for this industry here, because it'd be kind of sad if the birthplace of the blade no longer makes it, you know? Okay, thanks, man.
As a burgeoning knife nerd, it's something I can kind of get behind. Plenty of pocket knives around the world get treated like cultural icons. There's the Legolet and Opinel in France.
What did he say?
world get treated like cultural icons. There's the Legolay.
The Legolay. It's a Laguiole. It's pronounced Laguiole. Yeah, I used to have some of those. Actually, I literally have some. Actually, I do have one right here, I think. If I'm not wrong, this is one. Or it might be a knockoff. Like, this is not one that that you can, like, you know, band like this. But I think it is one of them because it does have the cicada like design right here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. There's like a cicada right here, and obviously this one cannot do it. But like some of the one I had, for example, like on my like when I would go to work or something, you know, the blade could like basically you could move it and it could go inside right here. So you'd open it like this and put it back in like this. I think it's the most well-known knife type in France. Yeah. And then he's talking about the Opinel. Opinel are like, you don't see it as often, yeah.
And Opinel in France, the Swiss Army knife in Switzerland, the Navaja in Spain. They're more than just tools, they're tied to a sense of national identity. Meanwhile, the barley song in the Philippines gets this completely different reception. It is unfairly labeled
stupid,
as
yeah.
more dangerous than it ever really was.
Because you can use
It's
like a
nice.
giant machete here, but you can't use a balisong.
Right.
And I mean, well, the machete's pretty Filipino as well, but the other iconic blade of this country, you can't even legally use. That's a
It's
pretty
stupid.
big hang-up in getting this kind of thing recognized as a cultural icon.
Right.
Okay, but one thing I was gonna say too, like, we keep seeing people doing like crazy maneuvering with the knife. Would this not also be like one of the reasons? I mean, people hurting themselves by doing it? That could also be a reason for it.
Mainly because of sensationalized media portrayals and movies from the 80s and 90s. The truth is, this blade is no riskier or easier to hide than any other folding knife. It's never been involved in any more crime statistically.
Yeah,
But
kitchen knife.
unfortunately, these misconceptions have led to bans that stand to this day, and they have nearly erased the barley song from Filipino heritage.
The balisong is a fading part of our culture. Even a lot of Filipinos, especially the younger generations, are surprised to learn that it's ours, that it's from the Philippines.
And that, in my mind, is this huge loss for a culture that came up with something unique, a single-handed design that is
cool.
special.
That is cool.
If this thing had come out of Europe, it'd be slapped with so many PDOs, PGIs, and TSGs that you'd need a forklift just to lift the label. But because it's Filipino, it's been allowed to be forgotten. And in my mind, it's time to bring back the barley song.
What kind of steps are you guys doing? How are you trying to continue this tradition?
We're using social media to be able to promote the balisong and to be able to revive the culture and bring interest back to our people here in the Philippines. We're encouraging people to buy the trainers so that they can practice flipping at home safely.
Like many Filipino blades, the
But is
barley
it
song
safe?
transitioned from farm tool to weaponry and then into Filipino martial arts. Today, it is a practical and versatile weapon, perfectly suited to the fast, close combat techniques of systems like eskrima, kali, and harness. Its compact design allows for concealment and quick deployment, making it ideal for self-defense and for
this guy.
tactical applications. And Ron and his crew continue to practice this art of flipping. They showcase a bunch of different ranges and styles, from the more artistic flowing movements to the more tactical combat-ready implementations.
What I can think look at
Hopefully this video helps out
This-
a little bit. I think they're
Is that
awesome
someone
blades,
cut down?
really unique culture. It's like the kind of artisan thing that I hope continues here in the Philippines. So best of luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Yeah, that's all I can think. Like, the way you flip it around really feels like it'd be very easy to cut yourself or stab yourself. So maybe that might be the biggest reason. I have a bit of a hard time believing that the only reason is because movies and bad guys used to use it. It seems like crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, very interesting video. I mean, I just think they're cool though. They're definitely very cool. Maybe some of the coolest knives, especially with the leaping dancing. Alright. Really cool. Knife type.